When Okuluk opened his eyes, he found himself lying on a bed. He sat up, rubbing his face. A movement next to him let him turn to his right. The bare back of a woman with raven black hair was lying next to him. A woman! Startled by the current circumstances, the demon jumped and fell to the ground. Ouch, he muttered once again. Having woken up, the woman crawled to the bed's edge and looked down. Okuluk could see she was naked, although he didn't see anything specific due to the bed being in his view. Her brown eyes looked questioningly at him. The brown skin almost seemed bronze in the early morning sun. You are naked! Okuluk stuttered at the woman. It's my bed, and you had to be kept warm, didn't you? She countered, obviously not understanding his problem. I won't get up until you wear something. She tilted her head and studied the demon. Crawling back to the other side of the bed, she seemed to take clothes out of a cabinet. His mind was still reeling from the latest occurrences, bringing him to the next question. Where am I? You are in Luther's home. Safe. Luther, Okuluk echoed. Was that the man who saved me? With his wolf? Another shock hit him when he remembered the fangs and the red eyes. He's a vampire, he exclaimed, making the woman giggle. Yep, that's him. Why would he save me? Okuluk muttered, although he would have preferred to not get an answer to that question. I am finished, by the way. You can get up now. The woman spoke with a taunting undertone. She wore an orange-brown pantsuit and an anthracite shirt with a red necktie. The demon looked down on himself. He had never cared much for fashion, but the woman's fine garments made him feel embarrassed about his own poor looks. Noticing his staring, she only laughed and took him by the arm. Come, let's go to the pub. The demon had been simple-minded to think of the vampire's residence as an ordinary house. It was huge and full of antiquities like statues, rugs, and paintings. Expensive-looking inventory made of dark wood and bookshelves almost bursting from the many works. The place itself demanded respect, letting one think about how much more magnificent its owner must be. Am I in trouble? Okuluk dared to ask the woman, who still had him by the arm when they went outside. Aren't you a cute one? She chuckled in her amused manner. I don't think he means to harm you, she said in a warmer tone. Gusts of cold wind blew through the streets, adding to the harshness caused by the grey sky above. Okuluk was happy about the warmth when they entered the pub. The barkeeper didn't hesitate and listened at once when the woman asked for Luther. They were sent into a closed-off room which granted privacy to whomever sat in it. The sight of the vampire almost napping by the looks of it made the demon uncomfortable. The woman had to push him inside to close the door. Luther was sitting on a pub bench, in front of him a glass of whiskey and a smoking cigarette in the ash pot. A window was brightening the room from the left, but curtains had been draped to keep out the direct sunlight. It gave the room an eerie, dusk-like atmosphere. The woman gave him a soft kick with her polished oxfords. Are you sleeping, Luther? Stirring from his nap, the vampire raised his head to see. The oiled hair, as dark brown as the neatly trimmed mustache, was combed and parted on the right side. The red eyes quickly fixed the demon, when Luther seemed to realize what was happening. Yeah, early, he spoke with a smooth, accented voice. It reminded Okuluk of a mixture of Slavic and Italian. It was elegant, intimidating. It's noon, she countered shortly, raising one eyebrow. You are sleeping in for human standards. With a sigh, he sat up straight, putting the head on the table, the eyes still mustering the demon. Luther Nastase Nicolaescu. He held out his hand for the demon. Okuluk shook it, introducing himself. The name made Luther smile. A simple name. I like it. Is that a problem? The demon asked, encouraged by the seemingly friendly vampire. Not at all. Nothing wrong with simplicity. He leaned back again. You met Wolper already? Okuluk uttered, astonished. The wolf! He gazed at the woman next to him, who bowed gracefully. Slat tilpa ehekatl. But Wolper is fine. Noticing the similarities in behavior, Okuluk asked another question. It was all before he could stop his wiggly tongue. Are you... He pointed between the two with his finger to get his point across. No, no! Both spoke the word with equal enthusiastic denial. We're just friends, you know? Yeah, just friends, Wolper emphasized. You know each other for a very long time already, I guess? We've been around for a few dozen decades, Luther answered. Not that old, then? Nah, not to the standards of our kinds, at least. His tone had grown more relaxed as he seemed to have woken up completely. Makes us still wiser than the humans around, he added with a smirk towards Wolper, who returned the gesture. You need proper clothes, pal, Luther said upon rising to his feet. Stretching his arms, the suit's sleeves revealed pricey cuffs on the silken shirt. Okuluk looked down on his antique garments. What's wrong with my attire? Taking his sunglasses to hide his inhuman eyes, Luther moved closer to whisper into the demon's ear. They have been outdated for a few centuries already. Makes you stand out in a very wrong way. Not stopping, he went to the door. Wolper will help you. Wait for me at home. What I want to talk about is not for human ears. Where are you going? I'm a businessman. I have to work for my money like everyone else. The vampire didn't seem like the typical cold-blooded killer to Okuluk. He hadn't threatened him. He hadn't told him to leave. He hadn't even told him why they had saved him in the first place. He had heard that vampires used werewolves as servants, but Wolper didn't make the impression of a servant. Did they regard each other as equals? Okuluk was too confused by all these questions until his mind put him back on track. Wait! He called out when Wolper went ahead. I can't stay here and wait. I have to find someone. The woman must have noticed his distress, for her eyes showed worry at the sudden panic. The werewolf was rather small in contrast to Luther or the people around, yet at that moment she was the one Okuluk looked up to for support when she countered with reason. People who devoted themselves to hunting the creatures of the night almost sent you to hell, and they are not the only danger. That's why I have to find her, the demon insisted desperately. I cannot force you, but I ask you to stay, for your safety and for us. Something in her eyes pleaded for him to stay. She didn't say why, and the demon assumed Luther was the one who would inform him about that. He couldn't deny that she was right. He wasn't made to survive on the earthly plane, and the vampire wasn't just good at surviving, he obviously was successful too. After all, what had he accomplished when finding Raiffelin until now? Nothing. He didn't have a clue how he was supposed to find her in the first place. Perhaps those two would be able to help him. Very well, he agreed with a faint note of defeat. She smiled warmly at him, guiding him gentler than the last time. Come, let's find you some clothes. You can eat fruits, Okuluk wondered when Wolper took an apple from the kitchen table. I'm an omnivore. I can eat everything. The demon felt a bit strange in his grey suit pants, the dark shirt and white tie. The pants had to be held by suspenders and a fitting jacket hung over a chair. Wolper had insisted for him to look as his standing in society demanded. Whatever that meant, he didn't know. But he guessed that looking like a poor man would be bad for the businessman's reputation. There he sat, in the kitchen, waiting for time to tick away. Aren't you from the native tribes in South America? He asked the woman when boredom let him think of all kinds of questions. My tribe fled centuries ago over the sea from the Aztecs who sought to subdue us. We roamed the land until we found like-minded people. Werewolves? Wilbur nodded. Maned wolves are gentle creatures, you must know. And since we are part animal, we weren't equipped to withstand the vampires. Having arrived in Romania in the early days of the struggle, their aggressiveness was beyond measure. Is that when you met Luther? It was around that time when he found me. What about your tribe? A shadow of sadness crossed the woman's face. It made the demon regret his mindless curiosity. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. They are gone, she said gently. Luther is the only family I have left. I'm the only one he has left. Cursing himself for his lack of empathy, Occult remained silent for the rest of the time. His thoughts floated back to Rafelin. Was she fine? Was she in pain? Coming closer to death each moment he wasted in doing nothing? His heart felt empty again at the thought of not being close to the angel. He also was surprised that Lucifer hadn't found him yet. He was sure the devil would have alerted Michael by now, perhaps even Dean. Why didn't the occultist summon him? Perhaps the man was refusing to help Lucifer. He had sided with the Kuluk before, after all. There was no use in pondering. His king would send him down to hell at once upon finding him. Instead of helping to find Rafelin, he listened to the monotone ticking of the clock at the wall as futile desperation gnawed at his wits. It was evening when Luther came home. He looked exhausted, with a yawn escaping him from time to time. You should keep away from the sun more, Wilfus scolded him in a warm voice. The vampire waved it off and took a bottle of whiskey. I'm fine. I just need to hunt more often. Do you kill people? Okuluk knew the question was stupid. Luther was a vampire. What else was he supposed to do? There's always a rival to get rid of, he smirked. Which brings me to the next topic. Emptying the glass, he put his folded hands on the table, his eyes cool and calculating. His voice, however, sounded humanly wary when he spoke again. A friend of ours has been taken. The man whose estate we are about to raid goes by the name of Blackwood. He thinks himself to be a collector. Some rumors call him a scientist of the occult. Is that the reason you saved me? In a way. Luther hesitated, causing Wolper to take the word. Atsushi no Mori and us, we go back a long way. When we stumbled upon you, Luther saw the opportunity to get an ally. We don't know what to expect, and your presence would increase our chance of success. Okuluk needed no special skill to see that the two creatures were sincerely distressed by the fate of their friend. I'm open to make a deal for whatever you want, Luther resumed with the emotionless tone of a businessman. He might just have been sentimental, but the two seemed to endure the same kind of pain he was in at the moment. I am looking for an angel. She has been taken as well by someone. Or so I think. Vampire and werewolf exchanged a glance. Might very well be that she has fallen prey to Blackwood as well, Luther mused, getting a confirmative nod from Wilper. There aren't many people hunting and keeping creatures like us alive, at least for a while. Kuluk suppressed a shudder at the ominous last words. He assumed if that man really was a scientist, then he would probably not use silken gloves on his specimen. We have a common interest, then. The demon voiced his agreement to the offer. Luther showed no emotion, but a relieved sigh seemed to escape his lungs. Wilper only gave him a grateful look. We could go tonight, Luther suggested. You should sleep first, Wilper's statement met deaf ears. I need a snack, nothing more. Pushing himself up, he went out of the kitchen, only to return with a gun for Kuluk. He himself wore two, concealed beneath his jacket. A fiery glint let the red eyes glow, hinting once again at the strange, caring persona behind the smooth mask, untypical for a vampire. I am not very fond of violence, the demon finally confessed when the gun was held out to him. Yeah, excuse me, what? Luther uttered, taken aback by the statement. Aren't you a demon? Well, yes. Didn't God cast you down? He did, but didn't you fight back then? Yeah, well, you see, wrong time, wrong place might be a more accurate description of my part in the rebellion. You didn't fight. Okuluk believed to hear a hint of reproach in the vampire's voice. I helped here and there. What do you do down in hell? Mostly I keep it usable by preventing the magma from flooding the streets. Luther only stared dumbfounded, not comprehending what he was hearing. Growing uncomfortable, Okuluk scratched his head. Sometimes I care for a soul or two. Care? Well, it's torture, but I never use any instruments. I let them deal with their own mess. Aren't you a disappointment to Satan? He never said anything like that, but I don't know. I'm defying him right now, so I might be one. But then again, disobeying is what we do. That explains why he didn't harm anyone when the cult captured him, Wilper added, amused towards Luther, who still struggled to comprehend the demon's pacifism. We will have to take care of any humans trying to kill us.